The void of space shimmered as the Achernar vessel emerged from its hyperdrive jump. Saturnine rings loomed large in the view screen, a celestial masterpiece that momentarily captivated the alien crew. Captain Volunder, his iridescent scales reflecting the dim light of the bridge, leaned forward in anticipation. This system, unremarkable on their star charts, held the key to their species' survival. Or so they hoped. "Scanners detecting no advanced civilizations," reported Navigator Thalasi, her tentacles dancing across the holographic interface. "Primitive radio waves only, as expected." Volunder nodded, a flicker of disappointment crossing his features. "Proceed to the third planet. Perhaps we'll find—" A blinding flash erupted from the darkness, bathing the bridge in harsh light. Alarms blared as the ship rocked violently. "Impossible!" Thalasi's voice cracked with panic. "Energy signature unlike anything in our database." Volunder's inner eyelids blinked rapidly, trying to process the situation. How could a supposedly primitive world possess such firepower? His racing thoughts were interrupted by a crackling transmission, the universal translator struggling to keep up. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. Power down immediately and prepare to be boarded." The voice was cold, authoritative. Volunder exchanged glances with his science officer, Neris. Her bioluminescent patches pulsed with anxiety. "They shouldn't have this capability," Neris whispered. "Our stealth systems are clearly ineffective," Volunder finished, his tone grim. "Open a channel." As Volunder attempted to explain their peaceful intentions, a squadron of sleek vessels materialized around them. Their design was perplexing, a blend of angular, almost primitive lines, yet shimmering with an energy field that defied explanation. Admiral Erin Murphy stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, her weathered face illuminated by holographic displays. Years of defending Earth's borders against less-than-friendly alien visitors had honed her instincts to a razor's edge. "Status report," she barked, eyes fixed on the alien vessel. Lieutenant Commander Mika Lane, hunched over his console, rattled off a stream of data. "Sir, their technology is inconsistent. Hyperdrive capabilities, but minimal shielding. Advanced sensors, yet they didn't detect our defense grid." Murphy's brow furrowed. "A trap?" "Unlikely," chimed in Dr. Kim Fan, the ship's xenobiologist. Her fingers flew across a tablet, analyzing real-time data. "Biosigns indicate extreme stress responses. They're genuinely surprised." Murphy nodded, her mind racing through potential scenarios. "Maintain lockdown protocols. Prepare for possible boarding action, but let's not be hasty." These humans, as they called themselves, moved with practiced efficiency. Volunder watched, a mix of awe and trepidation coursing through him, as armored figures materialized directly onto their bridge. The technology required for such precise teleportation was thought to be centuries beyond their own capabilities. One figure stepped forward, helmet retracting to reveal a stern-faced human male. "I am Major Quentin Faulkner. You will comply with all instructions. Any hostile action will be met with immediate force." Volunder raised his upper appendages slowly, a universal gesture of surrender. "We mean no harm. We come seeking aid for our people." Faulkner's eyes narrowed, but a flicker of curiosity passed across his face. He tapped a device on his wrist, and a shimmering field enveloped the Achernar crew. "A containment field," Neris murmured, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her fear. "But the energy signature, it's unlike anything in our databases." As they were escorted off their ship, Volunder's gaze was drawn to a massive structure looming in the distance. A space station, but on a scale that defied belief. Its design was a hodgepodge of styles, sections that looked cobbled together from primitive materials alongside gleaming, hyper-advanced modules. Dr. Elias Mbeke, Earth's foremost xenolinguist, paced nervously in the station's secure conference room. The opportunity to study a new alien language had him practically vibrating with excitement. "Doctor," Admiral Murphy's voice cut through his reverie. "Remember, this is a first contact situation. We need information, but tread carefully." Hey there, hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you do, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel to grow and reach more people. Now let's find out what comes next. Mbeke nodded, composing himself. As the door slid open, revealing the alien delegation, he couldn't help but gasp. Their bioluminescent patches pulsed in complex patterns, a form of non-verbal communication he'd only theorized about. "Fascinating," he breathed, earning a sharp look from Murphy. The lead alien, Captain Volander, they'd learned, spoke first. "Your technology, it surpasses our understanding. Yet our scans showed only primitive radio waves. How is this possible?" Murphy and Mbeke exchanged glances. The Admiral chose her words carefully. "Earth's history is complicated. We've learned to be cautious." As the conversation unfolded, it became clear that the Achanar's visit was born of desperation. A mysterious affliction was ravaging their species, and they believed Earth held the key to a cure. Volander's head spun as he tried to reconcile the contradictions before him. The conference room itself was a microcosm of human duality, cutting-edge holographic displays alongside what appeared to be simple wooden furniture. "Your species intrigues us," Neris ventured, her scientific curiosity getting the better of her. "Your technological development seems non-linear." The human called Mbeke smiled, a gesture Volander was beginning to recognize as friendly. "We've had our setbacks, and our leaps forward." As the discussions continued, a commotion outside the room caught everyone's attention. The door burst open, revealing a disheveled human male in civilian attire. "Admiral Murphy!" he panted, waving a datapad frantically. "Long-range sensors have detected. You need to see this!" The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. Murphy's posture stiffened, and Volander felt a chill run down his spine. Whatever this new development was, it clearly spelled trouble. Jake Foster, a low-level sensor technician, had never imagined he'd be briefing top brass and alien visitors. Yet here he was, hands shaking as he pulled up the sensor data. It's a fleet, sir," he stammered. "Massive, like nothing we've ever encountered." The holographic display flickered to life, showing a swarm of angular, almost crystalline ships approaching the solar system. Dr. Fan's face paled. "Those energy signatures, they match the descriptions in the Achernar database." "It's the Zin." Murphy's eyes narrowed. "The same Zin you mentioned were expanding aggressively in your sector of the galaxy." Volander nodded gravely. "They must have followed us. Admiral, you must understand, the Zin are relentless. They'll stop at nothing to..." A piercing alarm cut through the air, red emergency lights bathing the room in an ominous glow. "Multiple hyperdrive signatures detected," Foster's voice cracked. They're here." As chaos erupted around them, Volander locked eyes with Admiral Murphy. In that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. Whatever their differences, whatever mysteries still lay between their species, they now faced a common threat. The real test of humanity's capabilities and the true nature of their relationship with the Achernar was about to begin. The klaxons blared through the station, their urgent wail a stark contrast to the tense silence that had fallen over the conference room. Admiral Murphy's face hardened into a mask of determination as she barked orders into her comm device. The Achernar delegation watched in stunned silence, their bioluminescent patches flickering with a mixture of fear and fascination. Volander's inner monologue raced. How could these humans, who moments ago seemed cautious and guarded, suddenly transform into a model of military efficiency? It was as if they had been preparing for this moment for eons. "You," Murphy pointed at Volander, her eyes blazing with intensity. "We need everything you know about the Zin. Now." As Volander began to explain, The room around them burst into action. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing real-time data of the approaching Xin fleet. Humans in various uniforms rushed in and out, their movements precise and purposeful. Dr. Fan, the xenobiologist, approached the Achernar with a handheld device. "With your permission, I need to scan you. We might find a weakness in the Xin we can exploit." Neris, the Achernar science officer, tilted her head in curiosity. "Your technology, it's unlike anything we've encountered. How did you advance so quickly?" Fan's eyes twinkled with a hint of mystery. "Who says it was quick?" Before Neris could probe further, Fan's device emitted a series of beeps. The human's eyes widened as she studied the readout. "This is impossible. Your cellular structure, it's... Admiral, you need to see this." Murphy strode over, her brow furrowing as she examined the data. She exchanged a loaded glance with Fan before turning back to the Achernar. "It seems we have much to discuss. But first, we have a more pressing matter to attend to." Major Quentin Faulkner stood at attention in the station's command center, surrounded by a dizzying array of holographic displays and bustling personnel. He watched as Admiral Murphy entered, followed closely by the alien delegation. "Status report," Murphy demanded. A young lieutenant, her fingers dancing across a translucent keyboard, responded without looking up. "Xin fleet approaching at sublight speeds. Estimated time to Jupiter's orbit, 47 minutes. Murphy nodded, her mind already formulating strategies. "Activate the Helios protocol and get me a direct line to Luna base." Faulkner couldn't help but notice the confusion on the Achernar faces. He leaned in, speaking in a low voice. "You're about to see why it's unwise to underestimate humanity." As if on cue, the main view screen flickered to life, revealing a grizzled face that Faulkner recognized as General Lindholm of the Lunar Defense Force. "Aaron," Lindholm greeted, his tone grave. "I assume this isn't a social call." Murphy quickly briefed the general on the situation. Lindholm's expression remained impassive, but Faulkner noticed a glint in the old soldier's eye. It was the look of a man who had been waiting for this moment. "Understood," Lindholm nodded. "Our Quillian batteries are charged and ready. Just give the word." The Achernar exchanged puzzled glances. Volunder, unable to contain his curiosity, spoke up. "Our Quillian batteries. We detected no such weapons in your system." A small smile played at the corners of Murphy's mouth. "That's rather the point, Captain." Volunder felt as if he were drowning in a sea of contradictions. Every moment spent among these humans revealed new depths to their capabilities, hinting at a history far more complex than their initial scans had suggested. His gaze was drawn to a nearby display, showing a cross-section of what appeared to be the moon. But instead of a solid celestial body, the image revealed a honeycomb of chambers and tunnels, bristling with technology that defied explanation. "Impossible," Neris breathed, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was seeing. "The energy readings alone would require. But how did you hide this from our scans?" Dr. Mbeke, the xenolinguist, approached with a kind smile. "As the old Earth saying goes, we have a few tricks up our sleeves." The casual way he delivered the phrase sent a shiver down Volunder's spine. What other secrets were these humans hiding? And more importantly, why? Before he could ponder further, a sharp pain lanced through his abdomen. Volunder doubled over, his bioluminescent patches flaring with distress. The affliction that had driven them to seek help from Earth was asserting itself at the worst possible moment. Dr. Fan was at his side in an instant, her earlier scans forgotten in the face of a medical emergency. "What's happening? Is this the condition you mentioned earlier?" Volunder nodded weakly, struggling to form words. "Our people. Dying. Need..." Suddenly, the pain subsided as quickly as it had come. Volunder straightened, embarrassed by his moment of weakness. But the concern on the humans' faces was genuine, and for a moment, he felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps these enigmatic beings truly could help his people. Admiral Murphy watched the alien captain with a mixture of concern and calculation. The sudden onset and equally sudden cessation of symptoms was troubling. She made a mental note to have Dr. Fan prioritize research into the Akernar's condition once the immediate threat was dealt with. "Admiral," a voice cut through her thoughts. It was Commander Aisha Karim, the station's head of cybersecurity. "We're detecting unusual data patterns in the approaching Zin fleet. It's like nothing we've seen before." Murphy frowned. "Elaborate." Karim's fingers flew across her console, bringing up a series of complex diagrams. Their ship seemed to be operating as a single networked entity, highly efficient, but potentially vulnerable to the right kind of cyber attack. A spark of inspiration flashed in Murphy's eyes. She turned to the Akernar delegation. "Your earlier scans of the Zin, did you gather any data on their communication protocols?" Neris nodded eagerly, producing a small device from a pouch on her suit. "We have extensive records, though we were never able to fully decrypt their transmissions." Murphy's smile was predatory. "Commander Karim, work with our guests. See if you can find a way to exploit this network. Dr. Mbeke, assist with any translation issues." As the impromptu team huddled around Karim's station, Murphy turned her attention back to the main display. The Zin fleet was now visible, a swarm of crystalline shapes that seemed to absorb the very light around them. "General Lindholm," she addressed the Lunar commander, "prepare to execute Operation Sunburst on my mark, but hold fire until I give the word." Lindholm nodded, his image flickering slightly as he turned to relay orders to his crew. Neris found herself swept up in a whirlwind of activity, her earlier trepidation replaced by a growing sense of awe. The speed at which these humans adapted to new information was staggering. She watched as Commander Karim's fingers danced across interfaces that seemed to respond to thought as much as touch. "Your technology," Neris ventured, unable to contain her curiosity. "It's unlike anything in our records. Even species we considered ancient legends didn't possess such integration." Karim smiled, her eyes never leaving her work. "Sometimes the oldest tricks are the best ones. We just refine them over time." There it was again, that hint of something greater, older. Neris felt a theory forming in the back of her mind, but it was too outlandish to consider. Surely these humans couldn't be. Her thoughts were interrupted by a triumphant exclamation from Dr. Mbeke. "I've got it. The Zine language. It's based on a mathematical progression. Complex, but not unbreakable." Karim's eyes lit up. "That's the key. If we can introduce a cascading error into their network." As the humans rapidly developed a plan that seemed equal parts brilliant and insane, Neris couldn't help but feel a mix of hope and unease. These beings, who hours ago they had dismissed as primitive, were now their best hope against the Zin threat. But at what cost? And what other surprises did they have in store? In the depths of Luna Base, General Lindholm stood before a massive control panel, his weathered hands hovering over a series of ominously marked switches. Decades of preparation had led to this moment, yet he felt a twinge of regret that it had come to this. A junior officer approached, saluting crisply. "Sir, our Quillian batteries are at full charge. Targeting solutions locked." Lindholm nodded, his expression grim. "Prepare to fire on my command, and may whatever gods are out there have mercy on us all." Back on the station, Admiral Murphy watched as the final pieces of their hastily assembled plan fell into place. Commander Karim and the Achernar scientists had worked miracles, developing a cyber weapon that, in theory, could disrupt the entire Zin fleet. "It's ready, Admiral," Karim reported, her voice tight with tension. "But we'll only get one shot at this. If it fails..." Murphy's eyes hardened. "Then we do this the old-fashioned way." She tapped her comm device. "All hands, prepare for possible combat. This is not a drill." Throughout the station and on ships throughout the solar system, humans rushed to battle stations. Weapons that had lain dormant for centuries hummed to life, their power sending ripples through the very fabric of space-time. Volunder watched in awe as the humans transformed before his eyes. Gone was any pretense of primitiveness. In its place stood a race of warriors, their movements synchronized with an efficiency that spoke of countless battles fought and won. A stray thought nagged at him. "Admiral," he ventured, "your people seem prepared for this. As if you've been expecting something like this for a long time." Murphy's smile was tight, her eyes never leaving the tactical displays. "Let's just say we've learned to hope for the best and prepare for the worst." Before Volander could probe further, alarms blared throughout the station. The Zin fleet had entered the outer solar system, their ships moving with an unnatural precision that sent chills down his spine. "This is it," Murphy's voice cut through the tension. "Karim, execute cyber attack. General Lindholm, stand by to fire on my command." As Commander Karim's fingers flew across her console, initiating the cyber weapon, Volander felt a surge of hope. Perhaps these remarkable humans truly could turn the tide against the Zin threat. But even as the thought formed, a new alarm sounded. Karim's face paled as she read the incoming data. "Admiral, the Zin, they're adapting. The cyber attack, they're using it against us." In that moment, as chaos erupted around them, Volander realized that the true test of humanity's capabilities and the fate of both their species was only just beginning. As the Zin fleet surged through the solar system, their crystalline ships absorbing and distorting light in ways that defied conventional physics, a tense silence fell over the command center. Admiral Murphy's eyes narrowed, her mind racing through contingencies faster than any AI. "They've adapted to our cyber attack," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. Then, louder, "Commander Karim, isolate our systems. General Lindholm, prepare to execute Operation Sunburst on my mark." Volander watched in fascination as the humans' initial shock gave way to a cold, calculated efficiency. It was as if they had trained for this very moment for centuries. Suddenly, the main view screen erupted with activity. The Zin fleet, previously moving as one cohesive unit, split into two distinct groups. The larger contingent continued its relentless push towards Earth, while a smaller but still formidable force peeled away, heading for the red planet. "Mars," Nereis breathed, her bioluminescent patches pulsing with concern. "But why? There's nothing there but dust and old human rovers, isn't there?" Dr. Fahn's lips curled into a knowing smile. "Oh, there's quite a bit more than that, I assure you." Before Nereis could probe further, Admiral Murphy's voice cut through the tension. "Colonel Evers, you're up. Show these crystalline bastards why it's a bad idea to set foot on our soil." The view screen shifted, revealing a rugged-looking man in a dust-covered exosuit. Behind him, a vast underground cavern stretched into the distance, filled with rows upon rows of sleek, menacing vehicles that looked nothing like the primitive Mars rovers the Achernar had expected. "Roger that, Admiral," Evers grinned, his weathered face a mask of determination. "The Ares Brigade has been waiting for this day. We won't let you down." As the transmission cut off, Volander turned to Admiral Murphy, his mind reeling. You've had a military presence on Mars all this time? But our scans..." Murphy's smile was enigmatic. "Captain, you're about to learn why humanity has survived for as long as it has. We're very good at hiding in plain sight." The next few hours were a blur of activity. The Achernar delegation watched in awe as the humans coordinated a defense that spanned 2 planets and the space between them. From their vantage point in the orbital station, they had a front-row seat to a display of military prowess that defied their understanding of human capabilities. On Mars, the Zin landing force was met with immediate and overwhelming resistance. The Ares Brigade erupted from hidden bunkers across the planet's surface, their vehicles and weapon systems perfectly adapted to the harsh Martian environment. "Look there," Nereis pointed, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. On the main view screen, human soldiers in exosuits were using the low Martian gravity to perform impossible feats of agility, leaping vast distances to outmaneuver the Zin ground forces. But it wasn't just raw firepower that impressed the Achernar. The humans displayed a level of tactical creativity that bordered on the artistic. They used the planet's dust storms to mask their movements, lured Xin forces into ambushes in ancient impact craters, and even weaponized the very regolith beneath their feet. Incredible, Volunder murmured, watching as a squad of human soldiers used some kind of sonic device to trigger a localized dust storm, blinding and disorienting a group of Xin attackers. Their adaptability, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. Dr. Mbeke, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. You know, there's an old Earth saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Our history, well, let's just say we've had a lot of necessity. As the battle raged on, the Achernar couldn't help but notice the subtle hints about humanity's past. References to ancient conflicts, tactics that seemed